Hello and welcome to another episode of the LFGRX podcast. In this episode, I get to have a chat with Sierra from Sierra Whiskey Fitness. Hailing from Rome, New York, Sierra is an Air Force vet, GoRX affiliate, microgym owner, trainer, and home gym equipment DIYer extraordinaire. I hope you enjoy this discussion as much as I did, and as always, if you like the show, please leave a review wherever you listen. Now let's get into it. All right. Well, good morning, Sierra. How are you? Welcome to the podcast.
Good morning. How you doing, Jeff? I'm
good. Awesome. So I guess for our listeners, can you just start by sharing a little bit about yourself, where your lifting journey has gone and what led you to creating and developing Sierra Whiskey Fitness?
Yeah, I love that question. So I am Sierra Rathbun, the owner and founder of Sierra Whiskey Fitness. Fitness has been a huge part of my life since probably middle school, where I started doing cross country and got into weightlifting. And it kind of just transpired from there until I joined the military in 2014. And then that's where I really got into weight training. And there was a Sears specialist when I was first stationed in Germany who opened my eyes to kind of like CrossFit and functional fitness. And that's where Sierra Whiskey Fitness was born. I took the fundamentals that I learned from him and applied that to my overall mantra to Sierra Whiskey Fitness. I work mostly with women, and our mantra is be strong, be confident, move better, and perform better.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you took what you learned when you got out and you started training other people to help them get the same results that you were getting. Is that right?
Yeah, no, that's spot on. I noticed I do work with men on occasion, but women in particular really gravitate towards Sierra Whiskey Fitness's brand. Mm-hmm. And I work with a majority of women in my garage and in a remote setting.
Okay, cool. So what led you down that path to primarily working with women and finding your niche? Because the health and fitness space is so huge, and if you try to be everything to everyone, like you're gonna struggle. So what were those parts that you learned along the way to be like, yeah, I want to focus on this demographic or subset of the population?
So during that time when I was in Germany, 2014, 2016, I had that really great mentorship from the master surgeon I was working with. What I took from that, though, is that there is a lot of BS in the fitness industry. And it took me weeding through all that to get to where I'm at today. And I find that women, especially, and men as well, can fall victim and trap to do this exercise, don't do that. So I wanted to bridge the gap and kind of help not make the water as murky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I definitely see that. And I think we were talking the other day just about all the content that's being put out there that is probably less than helpful. So what is like maybe one or two of the BS in the fitness space that just like really gets under your skin?
Quick fixes. So, the typical, okay, in 30 days, I'm going to help you drop 20 pounds.
Right.
Why that bothers me is you may see results in 30 days, but usually those results aren't consistent and long-term.
Yeah. Like what happens after that 30 days? You're going to go right back to what you were doing.
Yeah. But most people go right back into the habits that led them to get to that spot where they were trying to change.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see that too. So tell me more about like your market, like and where you are. How many people do you have that you're training consistently? Who's coming in using the gym? And then like how has that changed over the years for you?
Yeah. So this year in 2023, I will say I've intentionally have slowed down to kind of lean more into my DIY stuff that I like to make to try to actually make products out of that. So I've limited my roster to 5 clients total. So I work with 2 to 3 in person, just depending on the season, and then 2 to 3 online. So you can't do everything in a business, and you need to focus on one thing at a time. So I had a established business with, the coaching side, but I needed to dedicate more time and effort into perfecting the other part that I'm trying to launch.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I think when you get started in something like this, you have your idea about like what you want to accomplish. Like, okay, this is what I want to do. And then the longer you get into it, you might find that your interests or your strengths change. So, just since like I've been following you, I've noticed your shift more into the DIY stuff. And I think you can see in your content that that's something that you really enjoy. Um, so, where where have you gone with that? Like, what different projects have you worked on? What gets you excited? Um, what kind of spurs your creativity for when you're doing these DIY projects?
I'll take you on a little tour.
Yeah.
So, sorry, we are terrible angles right now, but this has been my project that I've been working on for over a year, the lat pull down tower.
Hmm.
I wanted to, there's other similar products on the market like this, but I really wanted the challenge of building my own to have it be a one stop shop for pretty much any fitness attachment you can think of. So this is like, I'm waiting on the bulletproof isolator to come in.
Hmm.
By merging that with this tower, that's going to basically replace any selectorized machine that you could possibly want in a small space. So it's things like that. I like problem solving and finding a solution to a problem that I have. And that's usually what leads me down a rabbit hole of creativity and pursuing whatever idea I have going on at the time.
That's awesome. I love that. Um, can you share about any like other projects that you're working on or things that are floating around in your head?
We'll go on more of a tour. So sorry, it's a little messy in here, but I made these blocks a couple weeks ago. And my favorite one is the cold plunge, which no longer lives in the gym, it lives in my sunroom.
Nice.
So, again, terrible angles, but this is my cold plunge tank that I've been working on now on and off for a few months. Got it running right now, but
Very nice. What temp do you get it down to?
usually I'll keep it around 46, but that's because of the seasonality right now.
Mhm.
You're in Indiana, so you get to experience the cold weathers like we do in New York. So I haven't had to add a chill or anything yet. It's just been all natural.
Yeah, yeah. Mine lives in my garage, and the we've definitely had some colder days where the temperature has gotten down probably to like the low 40s
Yep.
for the water. But then I've got just a couple bags of ice. If I want to take it down a notch, I can. But yeah, going through like this winter season is going to be great because I'm not going to have to pay for ice. And eventually down the road, I'd like to get a nice like plunge, something like that that's automated and chilled and filtered all on its own. So cool. Um, what are some of the challenges you've experienced and had to work through in building your brand, in building your micro gym business, and how have you overcome those?
That's a great question, and I have a lot of answers to it, but I'll keep it short. Simply, the hardest thing is learning how to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
I, I have a MBA, Master's of Business Administration, and that didn't teach me anything of how to run a business. You need to be down in the weeds and actually doing it and learning from your mistakes in order to become a entrepreneur. A lot of people like to call themselves an entrepreneur, but they don't want to put the work in and learn from what they're doing wrong and realize that they are the common denominator in the problem. So that's probably the hardest thing I learned is that I drive the business, and for the most part, I am the reason for why the things are wherever they are at that point in time. So
Mm-hmm.
it's mostly you need to be self accountable and not be afraid to be self critical of yourself to grow and get yourself to where you want to be.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when I think about, there's people in this space who are doing the things that I want to do. And if they figured out how to solve these problems, I'm sure I can figure out how to solve these problems that I'm trying to accomplish. And it's all a matter of, how much work am I really willing to put into it? And if your business isn't where you want it to be, it's, I definitely agree. Like there's action steps that you need to look at and take to get to where you want to go. And I think as I've been building this out, just realizing how slow the process can be.
Yeah, no, I definitely resonate with that. I am 3 years into this, and I do okay. I do well, but not well enough for me to feel comfortable to leave my day job yet.
Mm,
But that
right.
comes with business. It's very much a personal decision when you decide to go dive full into it. And for my personal preference, my brand is not quite where I want it to be yet.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean I'm not going to get there. It's like you said perfectly, it takes time, it takes a lot of effort, especially in the fitness industry where it's so saturated. Your content looks like, not yours in particular, but people's content in general, it all looks the same, and you're fighting people to try to differentiate yourself. So I'm
Mhm.
really a huge fan of showing up genuinely and just being yourself, and the rest will follow. It is going to take time, but you'll get there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. One of the responses that GoRX gets in comments and in messages is, how can you open up your house to strangers? And, like, that's not something I want people coming over just like all randomly at all hours of the day to come work out. And going through that or going through this process, you realize like that's not the case. Most people don't even know you exist yet when you first launch your micro gym. So if that's a limiting belief that's holding you back to think that people are just going to be beating down your garage door to come work out, like that's probably not going to be the experience. But if you want to dip your toes into entrepreneurship and take those action steps to start building a business, to learn marketing, to learn web design, to learn content strategy, like this is a great avenue to do that for a lot of people who have home gyms because they already have a majority of the assets.
You said it perfectly. So when I was hard charging into the in-person coaching, I had anywhere from 6 to 8 people at once, and whenever I would give them, the address of my home, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I drive past this place all the time, and I never knew what was behind your garage door."
Mm-hmm.
So I call it the best kept secret of Rome, New York. No one knows
Nice.
about it, and when you do find out about it, you're usually happy you're here.
Yeah. Yeah. I had one lady, I was working with her and I was getting her to come over to work out. And I gave her the address and she goes, "But this is a house." I'm
Yep.
like, "I know." And she was like, "Okay, well, I'll be there." I'm like, "Cool. Yeah." So I think, how you set up your space can go a long ways in, presenting yourself as a professional micro gym owner. So how have you set up your gym in a way that is conducive to training clients?
So safety is huge because you don't want to get sued, and GoRX has a whole entire section on insurance and liability and all
Mhm.
that stuff. But in order for this space to work for me, I'm in about a 20 by 20 garage setting. I had to strategically lay things out. So for one, clients aren't tripping over dumbbells, things aren't too crowded. I've had to let pieces of equipment go that I personally love because it didn't fit my space and what I was doing for my coaching business. So you need to build a space that's going to work for you.
Mhm.
This is your home gym. This is where you work out and spend your time. But it also has to match the vibe of what you're going for your clients, because you don't want things to be too crowded at the end of the day, and then your clients feel like they're, stuck bumping into equipment all the time. So
Mhm.
best advice would be just prioritize safety and try to be smart about things.
Right. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I did when I was first building mine out was I invested in really good quality gym flooring because I don't want people tripping and falling on concrete or doing a split squat and busting their knees or something like that. You want to make it look like a professional space because that's what it is. You're operating a business out of it, and if you were going to someone else's place to work out, get training, and you would want it to look and feel like a gym. Um, Shifting gears a little bit, what's like maybe one or two pieces of advice you would give to someone who's starting out and trying to build their brand and their business in this space?
I would say, yes, you 100% can learn everything on your own, there's so many resources out there with YouTube, Google, all that stuff. But I would always recommend someone get a mentor to start
Mm.
out with. Whether you end up working with GoRX or hiring a business coach independently, it will get you there quicker. It's not going to, make you a millionaire overnight, but it's going to help you with those basic things like learning how to design a website, learning that you need to get insurance, setting up a business bank account, all those basic steps that you need to set yourself up for the long haul. And I will say, my personal opinion, I am very leery of the coaches that are like, hey, I'm going to help you scale your business to $100,000 in 3 months.
Right.
Sure, some of those people have seen results, but it's not likely if you were first starting your coaching or fitness business. So
Right.
it is a long haul, it is a process, but you will get there, I promise.
Yeah. Yeah. I think something I think it was Alex Ramosi talks about. You can either pay with your time or you can pay with your money when you're learning skills and like building things. So it's like, I mean, if you're cool with it taking years, you can do it for cheap. But if you want to accelerate your progress and your growth and to start, seeing results, you're going to have to put some money into it. And that's where I think I totally agree with you that, getting a coach or a mentor who has achieved these goals that you're trying to achieve can walk you through the process and save you so much time and hassle and headache. And I think that's, one area where GoRX has been super helpful to me is just been like that personal connection that I get with someone who has been operating a micro gym business successfully, and being able to learn like, hey, what about this? Like, this just came up. Like, I'm kind of freaking out. Uh, what do I do? And just, having someone there who can walk you through that and be like, oh, yeah, I've seen this before. Not a big deal. Or, hey, try looking in this direction or that direction for your answer.
And don't be afraid to pivot. Where
Mm-hmm.
San Whiskey Fitness was in 2020, 2021, I'm on a whole different trajectory than I thought where I was going to be in almost going to 2024 in.
Mm-hmm.
It's very positive and enlightening to see how my brand has grown and shifted as I've evolved as a entrepreneur and business owner. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid to go with where you're feeling in the long term. Trust
Mhm.
yourself, you know yourself best.
100%. I think there's a difference between chasing the next shiny thing. Like, oh, well, this didn't work out, so I'm going to go try this. When your whole goal is to try to just make money. But if you're following your passion and you're leaning more into the skills that you have and you're finding, you're getting to that flow state. I'm sure when you're working on your DIY projects, like time just passes by, you forget to eat and, just you're locked in because you love it. And people are going to be drawn to that. And I think that is super important when you're building out, your brand and your business is, finding something that you love, that you're passionate about, because it is going to get hard. And having something that you love is going to allow you to push through those hard times, because you love it so much. And it brings you joy, regardless if anyone buys it or whatever. I enjoyed doing it. So that's why I'm doing it.
And I will say, like, I still love coaching and I'm still going to have it be a part of my business model. But you hit the nail on the head. I get so much more joy out of creating something with my hands and translating what's going on in my head into this physical product that I can spend as much time on or I can take as little time on as I want. It's totally driven by me and how I feel at that moment,
Mhm.
into that flow state.
Yeah. Is there a particular project that you built for a client that was like, okay, this is going to be a little challenging, but I'm here for it?
Cold plunge tanks.
Okay.
I've had a couple go out. I and that's the thing. We'll talk about sales after. Sales is also another hard part of being a business owner, but that's a different conversation later. But building something, I one thing I need to work on personally is I'm very I'm very particular about how I want a product to turn out, to where even though it's going to look great to the client and it's going to exceed their expectations, I am usually the common denominator there, where if it doesn't match my vision, I spend too much time working on one thing at a time, to where I need to get better about spreading my time out better so I'm not worrying about the tiny little details, even though I've already crushed it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, what you're building is good and exactly what your client or your customer needs and wants, but there's still like a little bit like in the back of your head, like, oh, maybe if I could have done this differently, or you notice those imperfections that no one else is going to notice or really care about. But you can tend to dwell on those things. Yeah, I understand what you're saying there.
Yeah, and
Um,
especially when you've already created this
yeah.
beautiful piece of equipment that they're going to love and just blows them away. Don't be too hard on yourself. You're doing better than you think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, just the simple fact that you are working on building something that you enjoy and you want to help people with, and you're putting the time and effort into it is so much more than a lot of people do. A lot of people, they go to work and they come home and that's about it. So I think having a passionate and creative outlet is huge. And then, you can get into sales. Other people are going to like it. So what I guess tips and tricks, sales techniques. What have you learned works best when actually making sales? I mean, you're in a business, right? The goal is to make money and be profitable. So, what are some things that you've learned, along the way?
So you're not going to have a business unless you learn how to market and do sales. And I think everyone who is at any phase of their business, they're in the same boat. It's a hard skill to learn. So personally, what I've learned is I I would outsource it if you lack in that skill, because remember, as the entrepreneur, the CEO of your company, you have other things to worry about than being able to wear every single hat you can.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'm personally at the point where social media is driving me insane, to where I'm like, oh gosh, I have to create this reel, hop on this trend. Okay, now Instagram's pushing threads, and it it hurts my head. So I know I'm at
Mm-hmm.
the point where I want to outsource that to someone I trust to grow my brand. Because I'm predominantly an online business. I
Right.
do some things locally, but my traffic comes from my website and Instagram.
Very good. Do you know about how many visitors you have to your website on average?
Yeah, and SEO and all that stuff is another conversation, but
Mm-hmm.
I have about 200 per month, and
Nice.
they're mostly from the US.
Okay. Cool. Um, what would you say has been like a mistake that you made, maybe early on, or more into building your business? What's one of those like hard lessons you had to learn?
So I was 23, 24 when I first started my brand.
Mm-hmm.
I just turned 27. So it is not cute at 25 to have a cardiologist because you're so stressed.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm going with that is you need to take care of yourself, because you are the one that's driving your business. It's it's not cute to always be tired and embracing the grind that we see with this hustle culture with your 9 to 5 and your 5 to 9. You need to take time to recharge and take care of yourself. That is one thing I can't emphasize enough. So whether that's like Ashley the Amazing, her and I had a really good conversation a while back, but she has set business hours. She does not answer, DMs and emails past a certain time. I've taken that personally for myself, and I implement that probably 90% of the time. You have to have those boundaries so you're not burning yourself out. So take care of yourself, or else your business it's not gonna go where you want it to go.
Right. I 100% agree with that. I mean, there's always more work that can be done. And I think when you have this entrepreneurial mindset, that's always running in the background, that, like I could be doing this and that to grow. And, and it's like, if I don't do this, then everything's going to fail. But that's often not the case. And, where your success is going to be is being able to sustain to the long term and make those little micro adjustments that keep moving the needle forward.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's great. I think the value in a podcast like this is hearing it from someone who's gone through that. Like, hey, just take some time for yourself. It's okay to relax a little bit. There's always going to be more work to do, and as long as you're making those moves consistently, you don't need to do it all right now. Love that.
You hit the nail on the head. And when I was going through kind of some of that health stuff, it was when I was aggressively trying to grow Sierra Whiskey Fitness. And yes, we grew. We had our best year in terms of working with clients and revenue, but it comes at the cost of your sanity and your health. So you may see results, but it's not going to be sustainable. So now my best advice is take a step back, take your time. Your business will grow. You will get there eventually.
Right. Yeah. Love that. So what's next for Sierra Whiskey Fitness? Where do you plan on taking the brand?
Well, Home Gym Con, that is the next thing that I'm focusing on. I made the decision to get a booth this year. So I'm trying to figure out what products I want to bring. They will be prototypes. It's not going to be anything that'll be ready for market yet. But that's kind of what we're looking at. We're looking to really start growing my DIY passions into something more than just
Mm-hmm.
content I make on Instagram for fun.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're moving more from like the coaching and the training and the micro gym to more of like the equipment and manufacturing.
That's spot on. That's something that I definitely want to make more of a priority in 2024. And with that being said, I'm probably going to switch mostly to remote coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably keep maybe one or two clients in the micro gym, but sometimes this turns into a bit of a war zone with my products and me trying to build stuff. So, and that goes back to client safety.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have some project I'm working on laying out and I have clients coming in. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where we're looking in 2024 is to lean way more into that side.
Yeah. I want to go back a little bit to, you started your brand and your business with coaching clients. Can you share like a success story that you have for, one of the clients that you had? What were some of their wins that you helped them get to?
Yeah. So I currently work with a restaurant owner who's been with me for, I'll share a couple. Local restaurant owner who's been with me now for about a year. And former high school athlete, did a little bit in college, all that stuff. Comes to Sierra Whiskey Fitness for the accountability and the consistency. And this woman is all over the place, very, very busy, huge restaurant locally, to where she's able to stay consistent because she has that routine and that mindset that she wants to work on herself, but also have that balance with her business. So that's one. The other client I have has been remote with me for a couple years. Her hobby is roller derby, works as an athletic trainer during the week. But basically, the same thing. Goal is just consistency and maintaining that healthy lifestyle. She's never missed a workout, even when she goes on vacation. She does take time off for herself, but she's very consistent with her goals. And when she says she's going to take time off, she's going to take time off. And, recently had an injury, but still was doing what she could, what she was approved by her doctor. So I guess those are two success stories. I don't measure it in weight loss or anything like that. I measure it in habits and consistency. And those are two ladies that I think have done really well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And they probably wouldn't be where they are, taking care of themselves so that they can go be the best version of themselves without, you stepping into this space and offering the coaching and building your micro gym. So I think that is huge, just the value that you've been able to create. Even if you help just one person, a couple people, like that could mean the world to them. That could mean that they have strength and mobility, like as they get older. It means that they can, go do more things with their kids or with friends. So love it. Love what you're doing there. Anything else that you wanted to share or talk more about as a micro gym owner, as a trainer, as a DIY equipment builder?
Yeah, I guess I'll just sum up some of my key points because we talked about a lot of good stuff. First and foremost, business is a long haul. Most businesses fail after a year or two because I think it's expectation management.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you're not cranking out $1 million a year by your second year in business, you are still doing more than most people are. So please stick with it in the long run. You will get there, I promise. Second, if you're going to do a business, don't chase it for the money, chase it for passion. Yes, of course, you need to make money. So don't be afraid to stay at that day job until you feel comfortable. Your time will come. I can't emphasize that enough. Your time will come to where you know it when you're ready. And thirdly, if you are going into the coaching space, do it because you have a genuine care for others. You are going to come across all different kinds of people and all different kinds of problems. The biggest thing people have issues with is habits. Personally, I like giving my clients the book Atomic Habits. That's been a huge game changer for me, just in terms of seeing better results from people. Because you can be the best coach ever, you can give the best programs, but your results come from your clients. And that consistent long-term results come from helping them become aware of the root cause. And then I would say, lastly, take care of yourself. You are the most important thing in your business and in your personal story. And if you have a family, if you have pets, loved ones, whatever you may have in your life, make sure you're taking time for them. I know early on I got super absorbed with my business, and thankfully everything was fine. My partner was very understanding, but it can be a time suck. Find that balance. It may take you a little bit longer, but you're going to be happier in the long run. So those are it's my nuggets of advice from someone who's been in business now for a few years.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, setting those boundaries is huge, because I mean you're doing the things that you need to do to keep growing and to keep building, but you don't need to do it 24/7. You're not going to move the needle any faster. I had one of my coaches tell me, he's like, give it 5 years. Put 5 years of effort into this thing before you decide if it worked or not. And I was like, wow, that definitely puts things in perspective for me as well. And then, if this is a side job for you, trying to open and run a training business or a micro gym, and you've got your regular 9 to 5, maybe you got kids and spouse or partner or whatever, it's probably going to take longer than 5 years.
Yep.
And I think managing those expectations to like, hey, I'm in this for the long haul. Let's see where we are in 5 or 10 years before I decide to throw in the towel. That has some true sustaining power. But I think if you can get there, because you're going to get tested, if you can get there, you will see those rewards.
Real quick, I want to share a story of my father's entrepreneurship journey, something that keeps me going. My father, I want to say it was like 2011, 2012. I was a sophomore in high school, I think. Anyways, he decided to quit his job at a job that was literally killing him. He was the manager, doing everything, wearing the hat of 5 different people. Anyways, he decided to open up a general contracting business because that's his skill set. He's really good at building things, and that's probably where I get my creative DIY from. But he barely was making money his first few years of business. He worked a second job as at a wire factory, and he would spend 8-hour shifts, won't get home till like 4 a.m, and then get an hour's sleep and do it all over again. I'm not glorifying the grind there, but what I'm saying is he found a way to make it work because he was so passionate about bringing his business to life. So if you have that passion, you will find a way to make it work. And now, 2023? He's 10, 12 years into it, and he is thriving. He is very successful with his business, all because he was willing to take that initial leap. Yes, he still had a side job to make ends meet. There were some days where he would have $5 left in his wallet, and we were eating Little Caesars pizza for a couple days. The grind isn't cute, and I'm not glorifying it, but do your best and you will get there when you feel ready and just by putting the work in. So
couldn't agree more. Couldn't have said it better myself. So Sierra, thank you for your time today. If people want to connect with you and learn more about what you're doing, see some of your projects, place an order, you connect on things, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm most active on Instagram, so it's at Sierra Whiskey Fitness. And I have a website, www.sierrawhiskeyfitness.com. I have a Facebook page. I don't really use it, but you're more than welcome to DM me on there. But I would say probably Instagram or my website would be the best way.
Perfect. Well, I love seeing everything that you're doing. I like watching the builds and just the whole process. I know you've helped me with the cold plunge, like the idea of getting that filtration, like the aquarium filter in there to handle a lot of that. It's like, oh, that's something that I probably wouldn't have thought of. So definitely appreciate all the contributions that you're putting out there into this home gym space. Super excited to see what you're going to continue to do, and definitely going to be excited to connect at Home Gym Con.
Yes, I can't wait to see you there. It's been awesome talking to you guys, and I definitely appreciate the opportunity to share my story, and I hope it gives a realistic perspective of entrepreneurship and that everyone's journey is going to be different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then I'll also add, if anyone's interested in getting a workout at Sierra Whiskey Fitness, your gym is on the platform at gorexfitness.com. So they can find you there as well.
Yeah, come on by. I'm always happy to have people in here. So
Awesome. Well, thanks, Sierra. Hope you have a great day. Appreciate you talking.
see you, Jeff.